Good morning. Welcome to Sports Desk Live on Comcast Channel 26, also streamed on Facebook, along with producer Alden Miwani. I'm your host, Ed Nunez. Our very special guest today, Sandia Prep Boys baseball coach Scott Brandt. His Sun Devils walk-off winners against Ruidoso, 6-5 for winning the 3A baseball championship. Coach, welcome.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Coach, you were just giving me, you were just schooling me on some baseball, man. We had a chance, and we mentioned. I talked to you the other day, and we mentioned the great atmosphere out there at the Jennifer Reardon complex. There's 4 fields going on at once. I was doing field 2, and you'd hear the excitement from field 4, field 3, wherever it was. Talk a little bit about, you mentioned this to me, you thought it was a great atmosphere. Talk about what your team and what you got out of playing there. It's the NMAA's first, time playing there, and mention what you thought about it.
I thought it was phenomenal. I mean, like we talked about, the energy, the atmosphere, the vibe. You're able to watch different levels. You're able to watch 1A teams, 2A, 3A, 4A, 5A, teams that you're unable to watch all year long. I'm sure it's good for the media. They can hone in and be in one location. But just the atmosphere alone, I mean, like you talked about, we're getting ready for our game, and we can watch Nimi and Ruidoso on field 2. At the same time, turn around and watch that Carlsbad Centennial game, which was incredible. And then you're able to come across former players or former coaches. I ran into a lot of coaches I coached with that are at different places and had an opportunity to talk with them. And you're able to just connect and have conversations while you're watching different games. Matter of fact, after our game against Hatch and us, I went over and watched that Valley comeback against Goddard. So it was just the vibe alone, and I hope they continue to have the first couple, the quarters and the semifinals at the complex.
Kind of like the pit or different areas for basketball, Santa Ana, everybody gathers together. I think it's a great atmosphere as well. You're right. You get to see baseball on different fields and great baseball and the excitement. I don't see how they don't. There's some issues with the mounds, with the cleats and things like that, but they got that taken care of. I thought the NMAA did a great job. Coach, going back to your team, Paul Hewitt had coached there 20 plus years, and Coach Hewitt did a great job with that program. You've been the varsity baseball coach there since 2021, and you've won 3 district titles, 2 state titles, and you've also been named district coach of the year 3 consecutive years. It's a great program. It's a great program. Coach Hewitt did a great job, and you've come in and kept that going. It's a wonderful built program. Talk about the Sun Devils, the approach to the tournament. You won 13 in a row to end the season, including the championship against Ruidoso, who's, you mentioned, a 10 seed. That was not a 10 seed. Talk a little bit about the Sun. You mentioned the Sun. We're going to get to this a little bit later about how the Sun Devils approach their batting at the plate. They bat .332 as a team. Talk about how you felt going into the tournament. You must have felt pretty confident. You lost in the quarterfinals last year. You did mention that, but talk about what your approach coming into this year's state tournament.
So what we wanted to do is really have our kids try to be as loose as possible, not change anything, not make it bigger than what it is. What's difficult in the 1A, 2A, and 3A level is the top 4 seeds in each division, they get a bye in the first round. So what that means is you don't play for 13 days. And I would like to see that change because it's a detriment to the top 4 seeds. So you have to be creative in what you're doing to prepare for the tournament because there's no substitute for playing. You get those game reps, you get those high pressure situations, you're able to compete against another opponent. So basically, what we've done is that first week, what we did is went back to the basics, really worked on some fundamentals. We broke out our infielders, we broke out our outfielders, kind of like had breakout rooms, and we just focused on some fundamentals. We did that for a few days. And then what we did is we had inter squad for 3 days, kind of a series. That way they can live pitching. Our pitchers can get some time on the bump against live hitters. We try to do that as much as we can, simulate that as much as you can. And then the following week, we started tapering it down, right, as you lead up to the tournament. We spent some time over at ABA practicing on the turf field to get ready to play at the complex. And basically what we did is went back to basics, had some inter squad, try to make it as routine as possible, especially with having such a young squad that we've had. And, that was our approach this year.
I think when people, you mentioned this, and it's a good point. When you have that kind of time off, people think, oh, it's good for a team. I don't know any coach that would say that when you're playing well, you want to keep it going. And you've got long, you're creative in what you did as far as keeping your team engaged. But any team, when you're playing well and stroking the ball well and running the bases and pitching and it's all coming together, you'd want to keep playing. You did well in doing your inner squad, but there's no simulation for live action. The fans, the reaction, hitting a home run, stealing a base, so many different reactions, striking out a hitter to end the game. There's so many different things, and I don't know any coach that says, "Hey, there's going to be like 11 days off of the NBA Finals now," and Mike Malone, the Denver Nuggets coach, must feel like, "Hey, I want to keep playing. We need to keep this together." So that's quite a challenge that you had to think of different ways, coach.
Well, it was challenging. One, this year was a little bit challenging because at the beginning of the year, personally, I would like to see the baseball season pushed back a little bit instead of starting at the end of February, maybe start the middle of March. And the only reason I say that, especially for the smaller schools, because we share athletes. And you just talked about basketball. We have quite a few baseball players who play basketball. And of course, at Sandia Prep, usually the basketball team is, advancing to the quarters or the semis, or fortunately sometimes into the finals. And so those players lose out as far as being baseball ready. So along with that, so I try to push the season back as far as I could, but then we had a lot of weather issues. We had a tournament at St. Mike's that was canceled due to rain. After that tournament, I was able to try to schedule Cobre and St. Mike's at our place. I go to the field at 6 a.m. and it's covered in snow. So that thing washed out. Then I had a doubleheader against Hope that was rained out. I was able to make one of those games up. So long story short, we were playing 3 to 4 ball games a week leading up to the tournament. And then all of a sudden you go not playing for 13 days. So we didn't have a really good state tournament, believe it or not. We weren't playing at all cylinders, but we found a way to make it work and to come on top.
It's tough for spring baseball in New Mexico with the wind and the unpredictable weather. We had some pretty good weather out there at the Jennifer Reardon Complex. Thursday was a little windy. Friday tapered off a little bit, and I think Saturday was much better. It was a little cloudy. I saw some of the highlights, and we're going to get your pictures and the walk-off here in the second part of our segment on with you. But one of the things you mentioned, and I thought it was outstanding. You talked about plate discipline. Your team bats 332, and there's some. We're going to get to some personal stats here. You've got some freshmen. You only have 3 seniors, and the other day against Hatch Valley, me and former Valley head coach Roger Cordova, we're doing the game, and one of your players was a Gist.
Yes, sir.
Okay, had a 3-0 count, and right away, Coach Cordova and I said he's gonna be taken here. That's conventional baseball, 98% of the time, and he didn't. He swung away. So explain to our listeners what you said to me about the stickers on the helmet, the plate discipline that Sandia. Well, I thought was amazing to me because your players are very disciplined at the plate, very disciplined. Talk to us a little bit about what your approach is as far as you don't want people to just be playing joystick baseball. Talk a little bit about that.
So what we try to do is really empower our athletes, to give them some personal responsibility and some ownership. And so you can look at all the stat line, offensively stat line, to find out, you know, you can get lost in so many stats. You know, you have slugging percentage, you have on base percentage, you have batting average, you have RBIs. But what stat really drives all of that? So, you know, what we decided as a staff is, let's focus on quality at bats. If you're able to have a quality at bat and continue to have quality at bats, your batting average is going to increase, your on base percentage is going to increase, the opponent's pitching count is going to increase. You're just going to be a tough out. So we want to be a tough out. So what we did at the beginning of the year is we got stickers. And after every game, a player who has a quality at bat will receive a sticker. And if you saw some of our players in the state tournament, they had quite a few stickers on the back of their helmet. And so what happens is, by mid-season, you start hearing kids on the bench, when someone's up at the plate, yelling, "Hey, get your sticker. Let's go get a sticker." And they get deep in counts and they foul balls off. They get down 0-2 and they end up drawing pushing it to 3-2. And then the kids and the players and the bench are getting wild because they know a sticker is coming their way. And what it does is it just spreads like a wildfire, and everybody wants to get a sticker. And they come up with a simplified approach, because baseball is so complicated. It's a game of failure, or we like to talk about as a game of opportunity. And so we have to learn how to just be simple. Keep it simple. Let's not get too complicated. Let's focus on one thing. And it worked. We'll see if the same thing works next year, but this year that philosophy worked.
I don't know how it doesn't. There's going to be patches in the valley, or peaks and valleys. It happens in any game, but I think when you win a walk-off game in the state championship and you're down, that team kind of molds together and says, "Hey," and sometimes people go astray. They sometimes they don't listen as much as you want. But I think you could say, "Hey, it's proven. We won. This is the philosophy that we used. We were down. We came back. We won." I don't know how that philosophy doesn't keep going on and on. Especially, it's almost like the Ohio State football teams, the stickers. I've not heard that. I've not heard that on the baseball level, and it intrigues me because you got the buy-in inside the dugout, and that's important.
Well, it's one of the philosophies, right? There's so many factors that contribute for a team to be successful. That's one of them, because you try to get them to have buy-in and ownership and all that good stuff. But the other thing is, you have to have a good culture in any team sport. You have to have a good culture, and you have to have quality leaders. And we were very fortunate to have 3 seniors that were not only great leaders, but they were outstanding people. These 3 seniors were sophomores and played huge roles when we won it in 2021. But the way they were able to communicate to the younger guys, the way they were able to get the young guys to buy in. And coaching, as you know, a coach sets the bar, sets the standard, right? The expectation. Teams that have leaderships that are able to set the standard above what the coach sets, those are your successful teams. And those are the teams that are difficult to get out at the plate. Those are the teams that are quality on the base paths. Those are the teams that are mentally disciplined in the field. And that's because of the players and the culture that we tried to create.
Coach, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll talk more about that culture in your championship game against Ruidoso after these messages on the Sports Desk.
Pitch. There's a line drive right at the shortstop for out number 3.
Apodaca ripped to left field. That will bounce in, so it's going to be extra bases as they'll have to chase that one at the wall in the warning track. Flipped up, there's no play at home. So it's an RBI double for Andrew Apodaca. Runner at third. High leverage spot. Can Chavez keep the tie? No, that's going to be cracked into left field. It's a base hit as Love puts the Sandia Matadors ahead for the first time today.
The 0-2. It's upstairs, goes to the backstop, and the run will not score. Gun down at home.
Chavez rocks and fires. Ahmed, that's going to be an RBI for Ahmed as that one right through the gap in right center. Petrie will scoop that one, and it's looking like a triple as Ahmed plugs into third base, and what a way to score that run for the Matadors.
Coach Romero barking out his orders there to his players. He's been around the game for a long time. Nice shot to center field. That'll bring runners in. Just like that, La Cueva will bring 3 runners in to go up 3-0. Runner advances to third. Shot to center. That looks good. That's gone. Man, outstanding center shot there. As La Cueva will score. Antonio Lucero, second baseman, quite the hitter. Shot to third, and good catch. And she gets the out. Outstanding play by Trinity Bazan. Nice bright spot.
Costly errors allowed Cleveland to get one run back. That one's hit on the ground to the left side. Throw to first in time. Throw home. Got her. Whoa, what a play.
Next door or something. Not sure, but they came out here, and Ellison cracks an RBI out to left field. That's where you got to do it. 1 run, 2 run, and this game could very well be over. It's a play at the plate. It's sliding, and that will do it. The Rams walk off the La Cueva Bears. It's a 3-run batted in shot by Dean Ellison.
We would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible.
On any given night in America, there's almost 35,000 homeless veterans out there, and they're struggling. Oftentimes, food is something that gets sacrificed. It's easy to ignore it or lose track of that, but it's a desperate need in this community. And that's why we offer this food pantry to help those veterans. I had the privilege of running into a veteran. I said, I know it's just a drop in the bucket. And he said, I would not be alive today if it wasn't for this place. You obviously have a choice of card every time you make a purchase. But if you use this metal card, you'll be helping a veteran in need.
After the holidays, it's challenging to see bills come in. P&M can help with tips to save money on your electric bill. Set your thermostat lower. For every degree lower, you'll save 1 to 2% and see results in your next bill. Add weather stripping and caulking around windows and doors. Reducing air leaks saves you money. Hot air rises. Switch your ceiling fan to clockwise so warm air circulates, helping your home feel warmer. Small changes save you money on your bill. Learn more at pnm.com/tips.
P&M are proud supporters of ProView Sports.
Hello, my name is Staff Sergeant Kevin Stanger. I wanted to let you know that when you join a team like the New Mexico Army National Guard, you will always have teammates to give you support. You will have the chance to serve your country and community, all while earning some amazing benefits. Benefits such as tuition assistance, world-class job training, and getting paid while attending college. So don't miss your shot at an amazing future.
Don't sacrifice quality of flavor when you're in a hurry. Golden Pride offers ribs, fried chicken, green and red chili breakfast burritos, and Frontier Cinnabons. 4 great locations, or visit us online at goldenprideabq.com. Golden Pride Barbecue Chicken and Ribs, proud supporter of Proview Sports Network.
Good morning. Welcome back to the Sports Desk live on Comcast Channel 26, also streamed on Facebook. I'm your host, Ed Nunez. Our very special guest today, Sandia Prep boys baseball coach Scott Brandt. His Sun Devils walk-off winners. We'll get that up to that video here. We got some pictures that you sent to us as well. And Coach, you're down to your last out against Rio Doso. As you mentioned, a 10 seed that's not a 10 seed. That's a good baseball team that you beat 4 times. It's hard to beat teams 3 times, much less 4. I think that's a walk-off right there. That's the walk-off video right there. Talk to us a little bit about that game against Rio Doso. Down to your last out. This is what I think your team concept comes in. Quality at-bats, never 7-pitch at-bats, not giving up, getting your pitch. Talk to us a little bit about that game. Everyone wants to know.
Absolutely. So we started that game, we had a really tough, emotional, hard-fought game the day before in the semis against Cobre. And our starting pitcher against Cobre, Chris Gist, he gave up 3 runs in the first inning against Cobre, and I had to pull him. And so he got the start the next day. And looking back at the replay, our pitchers, Chris, he pitched decent. And then we had a sophomore, which Chris is a sophomore. Then we had another sophomore, Ethan Dudley, came in, and he really allowed for us to make that comeback because he kept it close. Rio Doso was just getting everything. The infield hits, the bloopers, they're making the catches in the outfield. They're getting the calls here and there, and it's baseball, right? It's a game of a game of inches, and you just keep staying focused, keep believing, keep working, and that stuff is going to start bouncing into your favor. And going into the 6th inning, I said, hey guys, we got to believe. I said, if you want it, go after it now. In the 6th inning, we had some quality at bats. We got some guys on. We started getting some life. And then the 7th inning, I just told the kids, I'm like, look, we've seen crazier things have happened. It's baseball. Crazier things that happen. Josh Reardon came up, grounded out to short. Shortstop couldn't make the throw, and I'm like, okay, this might happen. Put a pinch runner in. The next guy got hit. I'm like, oh, here we go. And the next thing you know, it was a barrage. I think the players just took 6 innings of frustration, of not anything falling. And plus, they're probably so young, they don't even realize what's happening, to be honest with you. And then they just started getting hits. And then things started falling. Things started going our way. It was Sam Trimmy just hit a double to make it 5-4. I had Logan Lemons, who was an 8th grader, come up to the plate. I went up there and talked to him. You wouldn't believe he was an 8th grader. He said, well, time to tie this game up. All nonchalant, under control. I'm like, okay, let's do it. He was down 0-2, battled, and then he roped a double into left field and tied the score. And after we tied the score, I knew we were going to win. That's tough to come back from.
Talk about I love it. You got to love the kid's an 8th grader. He's an 8th grader, and he says time to tie it up. 0-2, ropes a double. You talk about quality at bats, all the things that you said to your team, they've got it up here. They've got it here. They're going to battle right. They're going to go down the last swing. That's what you want. That's impressive. It really is. We mentioned you're batting the Sun Devils as a team, 332. That's raking it, right? They're raking. Mateo Herrera, 286. Ethan Dudley, 350. Josh Reardon is pitcher is 3-1 with a 3.07 ERA, just a freshman. Logan Lemons, an 8th grader, 373. Lucas Lemons, 8 home runs, 532 batting average, 6 stolen bases. Landon Hardcastle, 309. Chris Gist, 314 with 3 home runs. Christopher Andrick, 378. Jonas Baboob, 381. Sam Tremmy, 438. 32 stolen bases as a team. So talk a little. You mentioned this is a young team. You've got some freshmen here. Jonas Maboob at 381. You've got Landon Hardcastle at 308. Logan Lemons, an 8th grader, at 373. Talk a little bit about. We mentioned that on the broadcast. Coach Roger Porter and I, in the middle of your lineup, it's like they're all batting over 300. Those are hard guys to get out. Talk a little bit about the young leadership you had this year.
So again, it's all based on our senior leadership. Lucas Lemons, who is not only the best player in our district, the best player in 3A, but he's a top 5 baseball player in this state. Matter of fact, he's going to Marion University to play, along with some of alumni we have there as well. Christopher Andrick, he's behind the dish. Like you said, he's batting 340 something. He anchored our pitching staff. Matter of fact, in that state tournament, I only called 3 pitches. He called the rest of the game.
Really?
Well, I'm a firm believer. We talk about ownership, right? We talk about personal responsibility to have these players feel like they have a part. He's a senior. He's earned that right. And over the last 3 years, with calling, working bullpens and calling pitches at different games, and talking in between innings, he knows what the guy has on the bump. He knows what is going with. Maybe it's his curveball this game. Maybe it's his slider. Maybe it's changeup. I had ultimate trust in Chris. So he called a phenomenal 3 days of baseball. And then you have Sam Tremy, our center fielder. He had some time on the bump. He did an outstanding job too. But it's that senior leadership that allowed the younger guys to feel comfortable, right? That allowed the younger guys not to feel that pressure and to able to step up to the plate and meet the expectations that the seniors have. So that's where it all boils down to. And we talked about a young team coming back next year. That's true. But the thing that I worry about, which I'm going to focus on, is how to replace that leadership, how to replace that production in the middle of the order, but more importantly, how do we replace those quality people that are now graduating? So even though we have a young team coming back, there's still some question marks, and see how they're going to step up to the plate as far as being leaders and having a different role than they did this year.
Leaders lead by example. Logan Lemons, the 8th grader, he's a young kid, and he played basketball. I remember he's a pretty good little player too. And but I think by example, when people see that and they hear that it's time to tie this up, and he does it, the leaders are born. I think I've always said that in a vacuum of leadership, after you win a championship, somebody steps up. This is a program that is used to success. They're used to succeeding. They expect to succeed. They do. So I think, I can understand your concern as a coach. Every coach thinks that, right? We all think that. We all think what about this? What about that? And I understand that. But I think the basis or the base is set there for more success, no question, for the Sun Devils coming ahead, because you mentioned just the battle. You look like Riadoso again. What a great tournament they had. Hats off to them. They played well. But when it came down to it, your team, you mentioned the culture, the quality at bats, all that came up to play when you needed it the most, when you needed it in the championship game. Where else are you going to use it, right? All the things that you coached and taught, you have to feel pretty proud, Coach. And I know that you'll probably give your players and the people around it the credit they deserve.
Again, this is throughout the whole season. We had again, most of our kids were playing basketball, and we had a game against Del Norte, and it was 2-2 going into the bottom of the 7th, and we had a runner on second. Well, Sam Tremy hurt his shoulder; he couldn't swing it, and the only person I had really on the bench was a 9th grader that didn't have much experience. He put the ball in play. We ended up getting a walk off, and we won. Against Nimi at our place, Landon Hardcastle started it off, right? Got a base hit, and Chris Andrick walked off the first game. And then we battled the second game. Chris Andrick hit a 2-run shot the second game to win the second game. And so this stuff has been happening all year long. So like we talked about earlier, belief, that's the ultimate equalizer. If you believe and if you believe in one another and you have a good team chemistry and a good culture, more times than not, you're going to have successful teams. And when games get tight, that's when players such as Logan and Lucas and the leaders that we have, that's when they play at their best, because they're loose and they believe that they put in the hard work, and all they can control is what they can control, and whatever happened is meant to happen. And all they're going to do is just think about competing. And that's what happened. And the whole team took that mindset.
Worked out well. Coach Scott Brandt, Sandia Sun Devils boys baseball coach, winners over Rio Doso for the 3A baseball championship. Sure enjoyed our conversation today. Thank you for joining us. And of course, we wish you enjoy it now. You got some time to enjoy. We wish you best of luck for next season.
I appreciate it. And thank you for all you do for all of prep sports throughout the state of New Mexico. It's great that you guys showcase and televise all these high school student athletes. It's amazing, and they should be recognized. So I appreciate all what you guys do.
ProView Networks is amazing. We cover a lot of games, so we appreciate your appreciation. For producer Al Niwani, I'm Ed Nunez. We'll see you next week on the Sports Desk.